So let's continue with the muscle and performance peptides. And these are typically going to be the growth hormone ones that I'll get to in a second. But let me first correct the misconception. Growth hormone is really not the muscle builder most people think it is. It doesn't build muscle directly. Honestly, it's not even particularly that effective of a fat burner unless you're taking a very high dose long term. Now, here's the correct mental model. GH is more of a recovery and repair hormone. Its real value is what allows you to do. Basically, you recover better, so you can train harder, you recover faster, you sleep better. That's good for your hormones. And directly, the nutrients get more towards, repair and towards the muscle instead of for fat storage. Again, higher doses do better. The muscle comes from the enhanced recovery, not from the GH acting on muscle tissue directly. The true anabolic muscle builder is testosterone. The GH recovers and makes everything just happen faster. The more you can do, the more you can faster you can recover the potential growth. Now, this is also why you see athletes these days. They're competitive a lot longer, whether it's football or basketball or even bodybuilders. They're still performing in their 40s, where years ago, in the late 20s to early 30s, they would have, had to retire. GH peptides and similar peptides are what's responsible for them allowing, because they're recovering better, and then obviously the testosterone for building more muscle, which I'll talk about in a minute. So let's talk about, first of all, the categories. There's growth hormone releasing hormones, which called GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormones. These mimic the signal your hypothalamus sends to the pituitary to produce more GH. Think slowly and steadies, right? It's sustained support, not big spikes. Now, a popular one is called CJC 1295, CJC 1295. It's a long-acting version of that hypothalamic signal. Basically, there's two versions of it. There's DAC, which stays active for days. It's a constant, what some people call like a GH bleed. It's just slowly bleeding through. And then there's a no DAC, that has like a 30-minute window, and it better mimics your own natural GH pulse. The benefits are obviously improved sleep, better skin, enhanced recovery. Potential negatives is facial flushing right after the injection, water retention as dosages increase, which could mean elevated blood pressure. So don't ignore that. Then there is one called testosterone. It's more popular mainly because it's FDA approved to reduce visceral fat, specifically in HIV patients, which revealed its most targeted GHRH for belly fat specifically, which is great, right? Worth noting, technically, any GH will reduce visceral fat, any of them. So it's not exclusive to testosterone. This is the one that the FDA got approved for, that they did, because it takes millions of dollars to get FDA approved for something. But it's the one that, again, it's clinically approved for. The downside, it is more expensive, and long-term use can reduce insulin sensitivity, which could mean higher blood sugar levels, which unfortunately is related to most of the GH peptides. And finally, we have ceramorelin. It's the oldest and mildest GHRH. It's short chain, and it's gentler effects. That means it's more mild. If you're new to peptides, right, or you simply want better recovery and sleep without dramatic interventions, ceramorelin is a good starting point. It's lower risk, lower reward, but for many people, that's the right trade-off. Next, we have the growth hormone releasing peptides. These are GHRP, growth hormone releasing peptides. They basically tell the pituitary to produce more growth hormone. Where the GHRPs demand it, this works with it, right? They work on the ghrelin receptor and create a much bigger and more pronounced pulse, but they have other issues. The ipamorelin one, this is the cleanest GHRP. I'll tell you why it's the cleanest. It triggers a strong GH pulse without touching cortisol or without elevating cortisol, prolactin, and doesn't cause hunger issues. And that's important, and I'll explain why in a moment. It works best paired with GHRH, such as like in the CJC $12.95. Alone, it's limited, but together they both pulse at sustained signals, and that's where the real results show up. I tried ipamorelin. I didn't have any issues. Again, the effects were mild. There's two other ones. These are the GHRP2 and GHRP6. These are older, more aggressive versions. The 6 is notorious for making you super, super hungry, and that's because they increase ghrelin, which is literally the opposite of almost what Ozempic does. So if you're a hard gainer, or if you're old and someone's having a hard time eating, they need to gain weight, that's the one you take. The GHRP2 is similar, just not as hungry. It's not as potent. It's the 6 makes you super hungry to the point you can get fat if you take it. You can literally wake up in the middle of the night. I've had clients do that. They're like, dude, I can't stop eating all night long in the middle of the night. So keep that in mind. But here's the problem with both of them. They both spike cortisol, the stress hormone, and prolactin. Elevated cortisol over time obviously isn't good for you, not good for the muscle, not good for recovery, not good for sleep, sex drive, testosterone, all those problems. And the elevated prolactin can cause gynecomastia, which is man boobs, and also kills your libido and erections. So you have to monitor those or do it with blood tests. Again, this is why I suggest ipamorelin is a better long-term choice. It gives you the GH pulse without those hormonal, negatives. Next, we have the MK677. MK677 is technically not a peptide. It's an oral compound, which is awesome because for a lot of people, you don't want to inject. You just take the pill. It works, again, on the ghrelin receptors and significantly increases IGF-1 levels. I'll talk about more IGF-1 in a minute. The downsides is significant water retention, puffy face, elevated blood pressure, and it can also increase blood sugar a lot to potential pre-diabetic territory, especially if you're eating a lot of carbs. And so your diet has to be super clean, so keep that in mind. Now, there's something about GH that I want to tell you about these peptides. Most people don't tell you. These GH-releasing peptides are ultimately limited by your body's natural production capacity, all right? You can't keep taking more and more, and your body's like, I'll just keep producing more and more. It's got a limit, all right? There's a ceiling on how much your body can produce. Think of it like a car, right? You might have like a Toyota or Honda, both of them, you can put gas all the way down. It's going to only go so fast because it's limited horsepower, while a Ferrari, bigger engine, more horsepower, you can do more with it. So that means that sometimes when your pituitary things are working better, it works better on younger people than older people when things just aren't working as well. So keep that in mind. This is why I would tell people, hey, if you really care about it, you might as well just take growth hormone, which bypasses it all. You can go up higher and higher and higher. There isn't a ceiling. Obviously, speak to your doctor before you do anything. Don't listen to me. But just letting you know on the realistic expectation, there's a limit to how much your body can produce when you're telling it to do something. And some people are better responders than others. Now, there's one peptide that's better for building muscle, and it's called IGF-1. I'll tell you about the details. Basically, when you take growth hormone, whether it's any growth hormone that your body produces, right? Your liver will convert some of that into IGF-1, insulin growth like factor 1, all right? This is where the actual muscle building begins. This is also where a lot of the height happens when you're growing taller. Unlike GH, which raises blood sugar and can make you diabetic, which in the past, one reason I didn't take GH is I already have blood sugar problems, and it really dramatically increased my blood sugar levels. IGF-1 lowers it. Why? Because it's insulin growth-like factor. It works similarly. So the one negative is that IGF-1 is very short acting. It's done in minutes. So what scientists produced, they created a longer version. It's called LR3, IGF-1 LR3, and it's got a longer half-life. The benefit also when you take IGF is it can help promote hyperplasia. Hyperplasia is when cells actually split and you can create more cells. So if you're limited by muscle growth, how many muscle cells you have, By taking IGF, you produce new muscle cells, which can produce more muscle growth. When you take it, the pumps are pretty darn amazing. Fullness, you can you can actually grow a lot more than if you took GH on its own. However, it's very, very expensive. I won't get to all the details. I'll do a deep dive video with my own experience with it a long time ago. But one major risk is obviously there's organ growth from it, but the bigger problem is it can accelerate the growth of polyps and precancerous tissue. High IGF levels are linked to earlier death and higher links of cancer. So, if you have cancer, obviously don't take it. But the thing is, a lot of times we don't know we have cancer. And if you do have something and you take these things, especially the IGF, it can increase or accelerate cancer growth. So that's why I'm hesitant to ever take these compounds. Certainly not long term. Now, there's another product that I thought, all bodybuilders are super excited about. It's called Follistatin 344. And it's basically it inhibits myostatin. It's a myostatin inhibitor. Now, if you don't know what myostatin is, it's a protein that limits muscle growth, right? So if you inhibit myostatin, if you lower myostatin, you have way more potential to grow muscle. That's for some people think, hey, when they say this guy's got the genetic limit, it's because they maybe have, not because they don't have enough testosterone or growth hormone, because they have too much myostatin. Animals that naturally lack myostatin are extraordinarily, they're huge. Like a Belgian blue cattle, you'll see here, they just look like they're on full-blown steroids. Or there's dogs that have the same mutation. You can see it. Again, that thing looks all jacked up, like, it's lifting weights. More muscle and way less body fat. And sometimes some of the best genetic bodybuilders, they've been told that maybe they have lower myostatin, such as Flex Wheeler and Kevin Levrone, because these guys can gain muscle and lose fat in weeks and months, where an average person could take years. So why am I mentioning all this Follistatin? Because, it sounds awesome. You take it, inhibits, you're going to grow muscle. I thought I'd give it a try, but let me ask what's going on with other people. I tried it temporarily. I didn't really notice anything other than I got very tired. Like I was just tired all the time, and it just wasn't really worth it. It was very expensive. So I didn't really gain anything out of it. Plus, if myostatin can also grow your heart, which you don't want. I tried it for just a few weeks, not worth it. I had the same feedback from other guys. It hasn't transformed. If it did, all bodybuilders would be taking it. So if you see it, if someone wants to sell it to you, my suggestion is don't take it. Finally, since we're on the category about muscle building, I want to quickly mention a compound which directly increases testosterone, which is, again, as I mentioned, the real anabolic hormone, and that's called HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. It's technically a glycoprotein, not a peptide, but it consistently gets grouped with peptides in clinical settings because it's made up of amino acid chains. It acts like LH, luteinizing hormone, which then signals your testicles to produce more testosterone. Then you also produce more sperm, which is cool. Your testicles also grow, which is cool if that's what you care about. And it's commonly used in fertility protocols, or guys will use it when they're getting off steroids to get things going. Now, I've covered HCG in depth in past videos, so I'm not going to go over it today. But I mention this because, like I said, testosterone, not GH, is a true muscle building hormone. So if you want to optimize this category of building muscle, you want to obviously optimize testosterone in addition to growth hormone pathways. But again, more importantly, post your questions below. Let me know how this was helpful, and share it with someone else. And if you're not already subscribed, please do so. And thanks again for watching all the way. Take care. Bye.